Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Dimino. I work with 680 The Fan, and this is Terry Pendleton. And let me just start by saying Terry Pendleton does not do a lot of these, and Terry Pendleton has never told a Terry Pendleton story unless Terry Pendleton was asked to tell a story. And I say that to say this. There are a lot of people who have that, oh, by the way, let me tell you about me. And with the type of career Terry had, he could easily be, let me tell you about me. So far from that, it's incredible. And I also want to say this. I've been doing this 33 years. My first full-time credential for the Braves was 1994. And I got really lucky in a lot of ways that there were guys in the clubhouse, some people in the coaching staff. Terry, when he became a coach, you, Glenn Hubbard, Don Baylor was great to me. And that's not sort of, you sort of become the kid who watched baseball your whole life. You were a big fan, but now you're in the adult world. Now you're dealing with players. Now you're dealing with coaches. And I had a really good group of guys, both players and coaches, who sort of said, if you say something in the sports talk radio world, you better be here the next day. Okay. And the other thing that I was sort of told is, don't ask me about him, ask him about him. Yes. And once you learn those two things as a basis, you had an opportunity where everybody in the clubhouse knew you were there to do the job. It could be fun, you could have a good time, but you're there to do the job. This man was one of those guys. I'll also say this. We're going to talk about the Brave stuff, but Terry, to become Terry Pendleton, the Atlanta Brave, took some time before that, and there was an absolute reason, and I'll just blow the whole tease. The Atlanta Braves of the 90s are not the Atlanta Braves of the 90s without Terry Pendleton, and that is a fact. There's nothing on the field. Greg Maddux signing, Fred McGriff coming over. There was nothing until this man came in and instituted what I call sort of a unwritten policy, an unspoken policy of you're going to be a professional and I'm going to show you how to do it. So we'll talk a little bit about him coming to the Braves. Last thing, the greatest compliment you can pay anybody who did this for a living is you call them a ball player. Because calling somebody a ball player is not just what they did in the field, it's not numbers, it's everything. They all played, some guys are ball players. This man is the epitome of what a ball player was and is. So I want to thank you for being here. Now we can begin.
Okay.
But I just wanted you to know.
You've embarrassed me enough. Now we can begin.
But there are guys who are wired a little bit differently, and Terry Pendleton is one of those guys. So I told you this 20 years ago, and I do mean this, 20 plus years ago. The Atlanta Braves of the 90s are not the team they were until you walk in the door. But there's a reason you're the guy who walked in the door and helped, I think, turn it around. You spent time with the St. Louis Cardinals. Yeah. And let's just talk quickly about coming up, 1984, 1985. What were your hopes? What were you hoping for? You get the call to the big leagues. What did you think, or what did you hope your career could be?
Well, the strangest part about me was I didn't realize how good of a baseball player I was, even at the AAA level. So when I did get the phone call, I thought my manager, who was Jim Fergosi at the time in AAA, was kidding with me at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I get the call. He says, "No, you're going to St. Louis tomorrow. You're going to be in the show, and you're playing tomorrow. So get ready. Put your big boy pants on. And get ready," is what he told me. And for me, getting there, I walked in nervous as can be. Our minor league director met me at the door, and he looked at me, and I guess he could see the nervousness in me. And he looks at me and says, "Hey, it's just baseball. You've been doing that all your life. It's just another level of it, and you're ready for this level." So, yes, thank you. I walked downstairs. I'm walking to the clubhouse. And when I walked in the door, you start looking around because I know I'm going to be number 78 or one of these. And I look over, and it has my name on it, and it says number 9, and it really made me nervous then. I gotta live up to this.
Yeah, this is real. I'm in single-digit territory.
Right. So it really made me nervous. So I sat down, and the clubhouse, Buddy Bates, clubhouse guy, comes over to me, and he says, "Hey, Whitey wants to see you in his office." So I walk into Whitey Herzog's office, and here he is, Whitey Herzog, the legend, Whitey Herzog. I'm sitting in front of Whitey Herzog, and I'm thinking about that. I am sitting in front of Whitey Herzog, and he says, "Hey, kid," he says, "listen, Willie McGee pulled his hamstring." He says, "we're moving Andy Van Slyke to center field where he belongs because he's not a third baseman, and we're going to play you at third base." He goes, "Willie's slated to be on the disabled list from 7 to 10 days. So you're slated to be here for 7 to 10 days or depending on how well you play. He goes, well, don't worry about it. If you don't play well, you will be back. That came out of Whitey Herzog's mouth. He said, you will be back. And that relaxed me. That was all I needed to hear.
So you had the right guy at the right moment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No doubt about that.
So 1985, for, again, people who might not remember, I'm living in New Jersey. I grew up in a Met house. My favorite year, and the gospel of the Braves, I'm all in. I denounced the Mets. I was out of the Met business a very long time ago, but in 1985 I wasn't. That was the most fun I've ever had as a baseball fan because the Mets were an upstart. You guys went down to the wire. Like, this is way too deep. I went to a game at Shea Stadium, John Tudor, Doc Gooden, at the end of that season, and it was, you could see the Mets were growing. You guys were there, a little bit more than them, but you could see the Mets growing. Can you talk a little bit about the 85 season and what it's like to go? Because I think what happened in 91 is sort of has its history in 85 when you talk about being in the nutcracker world of, are we going to figure out a way to win on nights that we need to win?
It was interesting because the Mets were probably a better baseball team than we were. We did some things very well. We won one-run ball games. We didn't beat ourselves defensively. We're the best defensive team in baseball. And we were going to make you beat us. You just had to come out on the field and beat us. We were going to put pressure on you because we didn't. Jack Clark was our only home run hitter.
I think it was 80. I think in 1985, this team went to the World Series. I think as a team, you hit 87 home runs.
Yeah, you're probably right because there weren't many of them. And Jack had 22 of those. So, yeah, so that I remember. But so we didn't hit many home runs. So we were going to beat you with our legs. We had speed. We were going to beat you with our legs, and we were going to beat you with our glove. So we knew that. So we knew our job was to put pressure on the pitcher from the first pitch on. The other team, we realized the pressure was on them always because of our speed. It was always on them. The Mets had better pitching. The Mets had better, if you're looking at offense, yes, they could hit the ball, but they could change a game in a hurry on you. But we had the will. Not that they didn't, but we had the will to never quit. It was like the Energizer Bunny. We're not quitting. You know, you just when you think you got us down, you got 3 run on us. In next 2 innings, now it's 3-2. You know, so we kept battling, but we understood what it took from each other, and we held each other accountable. Even that was my first full season in 1985. So we held each other accountable. So when I went out on the field and didn't move that runner over with a runner second, nobody out, when I came to that dugout, I heard about it, and it wasn't from the manager either. It wasn't from the coaching staff either. From my teammates, and they let me have it over it. So we had to hold each other accountable for the things we weren't doing right. We were hey when you did it right, but they expected you to do it right. So we held each other accountable.
What's that do for your base going forward? That the clubhouse is ours, it's not the managers. We can police in the clubhouse and on the bench. Don't need the managers or the coaches if we do this right. What do you think that does for you going forward as a baseball player?
Oh, it's big. It's big time for in anything I do, walking on the field or even at home, believe it or not, off the field. It is big time. It helps me, first of all, inside. It helps me understand how much better of a player I could be. It helped me with my thought process and how I had to think about things and have them in order before I step on the field. There were just different levels of all of it that I had to go through, but that old saying, practice makes perfect, no, practice made permanent for us. So we had to get it right because we didn't have a second, third chance because we weren't going to get that 3-run homer.
And, and it also, there's something to being accountable. There's something to baseball IQ. There's no way it doesn't go up. There's no way baseball IQ collectively doesn't go up when that's how you have to win baseball. 100%.
Whitey Herzog used to tell us, he said, listen, the first 6 innings, you guys, go do your thing the first 6 innings. Understand that 7th inning, I'm taking over. So whatever you're going to do, go get it done the first 6. But after that, it's my game. And the thing that also made us really good was the fact that in the heat of a battle, you can walk down there and question the manager as to why he did what he did. This is Whitey Herzog, Hall of Fame manager Whitey Herzog. You can walk down there in the middle of the ball game and say, Whitey, why are you doing this? He'll explain it to you. And he appreciated that because he knew you were involved in the game. And if you kept asking these questions and learning these things, you never had to ask him again. You're teaching each other how to do these things, so it made his job and the coaching staff job easier.
You learned a really tough life lesson as an athlete. 1985 World Series, for those who don't know. It's the Kansas City Royals, and it's the St. Louis Cardinals, and he already knows where this is going to go. There's a gentleman, an umpire by the name of Don Denkinger, and you battle, you fight. What was crazy about that World Series is I've never seen two teams on the field who were more built for their ballpark, who understood what they were more than two teams have ever played in the World Series. Gaps, doubles, speed, make sure you play defense, pitch when you needed to. Doesn't have to be pretty all the time, but it's going to be smart baseball. So for those who don't know, there is a moment in the 1985 World Series, and I'll let you take over, that to say things didn't go maybe the way they were supposed to talk about an outcome, true outcome of a World Series changing. You had what we would call a front row seat.
Yes, we had. It was one out in the ninth inning. Bottom of the ninth inning, we're up 2-1. No, we're up 1-0. Bottom of the ninth inning
To win the World Series.
to win the World Series, Game 6. They had nobody on. There's a ground ball hit to our first baseman's right side. Jack Clark goes over, fields the ball, throws back to Todd Zeal, Todd Worrell, who is our closer, who was covering first base. He catches a ball, he stretches, he catches a ball, he stays on the bag. He's called safe. Everybody in the ballpark knows he's out, but the guy umpiring at first base. Now, I'm going to stop right here because this umpires and checking and instant replay and all that, I still hate it to this day. I do. Baseball is baseball. And you take the umpires, for me, old school, you take the umpires out of baseball, it kind of tames it down a little bit, but that element of surprise was always, to me, always good in baseball.
And do you know how ridiculous, because I know how this story ends, for you to be saying that after what happened for the rest of that 1985 World Series, that will tell me you're convicted in the idea that you understand there's a human element.
Oh, yes, 100%. I think that's what makes the game so great.
Okay.
The human element in it, personally.
He gets it wrong. Mm-hmm. What happens?
The next guy, I got to remember this now. They end up getting two guys on, the bases loaded. A guy hits a base hit or sac fly and ends up beating us. We end up losing the game 2-1 the bottom of the ninth inning. When we had the game, in our mind, won. Now listen, mind you, the stats, after 7 innings, we were 71-2.
For a season. They were unbeatable in that situation.
After 8 innings, going into the ninth inning, we were 81-0. So in all our minds, game was over. It was over. And then this takes place.
So now there's a Game 7, and I've talked to people who played in that game. I've talked to Whitey Herzog about it. There was a feeling Joaquin Andujar is going to pitch, and I don't know what you feel this many years later. The vibe I got from people on the Cardinals side was this might not go right for us tonight. There sort of has been that thing that I don't think this is going to go well tonight.
Yeah, I went to bed with that feeling.
Okay.
Yeah, the night before Game 7. It's like yesterday now. I went to bed with that feeling. We had our best on the mound in John Tudor, and they had their best in Brett Saberhagen. And it didn't go well for us, just let me say that. And, you're looking at each other going out on the field for Game 7, and, it just didn't feel or look right.
Did you ever, Denkinger is an umpire for a while, did you ever have a conversation with him?
No, we spoke. Actually, Denkinger, believe it or not, is the same guy that had the play in 91 in Minnesota where Herbert pulled Ronnie Gann off the bag. Don Jenkinger's the same guy that called him out there, too. So he's shown up a few times in my life. Let me say that.
Screw job. Not once, but twice.
He's shown up.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that. So, but the real point is you played on winning teams,
yes.
85, 87, and you mentioned Minnesota Twins. All right, I got to get this one out of the way. And you tell me if this needs to stay off the record. I'll set it up, and you tell me if this is off the record or not. And you could abstain. You could plead the fifth. You could do whatever it is you want. Who did the St. Louis Cardinals lose to in 1987?
Minnesota Twins.
Okay. Who did the Braves lose to in 91?
The Minnesota Twins.
Did the Minnesota Twins lose a game at home in either of those two postseasons?
No.
Okay. Do you know where I'm going to go?
Yes.
Can I get on the record?
Yes.
Okay. Metrodome, the Baggie, tough place to play, a lot of noise, but there might have been something else going on. You believe that the Minnesota Twins...
It's not a belief.
Okay, so you know the Minnesota
Thank you.
Twins
Yes.
had an advantage every home game. Again, we're going on the record.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Explain to everybody what you know the Minnesota Twins' home field advantage was in that building in the month of October, not once but twice.
It was an indoor facility, so they had control of the blowers in the place. So with that, we caught that in '87. Ozzie Smith ran out on the field and he told me, "I want you to check out something. I just noticed something sitting on the bench." It's like, what? Okay. So we go out on the field and their hitters walk up to the plate. Now in the '87 World Series, the first game 2, they had banners all around the entire stadium. And when their players were hitting, I'm playing third base. I look up behind home plate, and all the banners are just blowing big time toward the outfield. And he said, "Take a peek at that." Okay, I'm taking notes. So we go back in. He goes, "Now take a peek at the outfield banners while we're hitting." And they're all blowing in from right field, left field, center field. All of them. These banners are up telling on them basically, and they didn't get it, understand it. So Ozzie says something about it after game 2. And we come back for game 6, and all the banners are gone. They've taken them down. Every single one of them they've taken down. But it was obvious at certain points. I'll pick out a couple of things in the '91 World Series. Everybody knows that great play that Kirby Puckett made against the plexiglass, right? That ball's 10 rows up in the seats. Ronnie Grant crushed that baseball. Kirby Puckett catches it on the plexiglass. We hit 1 home run in Minnesota. I think we hit 1. I believe it was 1 in '91. 1 home run in Minnesota.
4 games.
4 games. We hit 1 home run in Minnesota. We had some guys hit the ball at the ballpark. We hit 1 there. We come home and we probably had 9. We hit 1 in Minnesota. The 1 home run we hit, I hit a line drive to center field. Didn't get up in the air. Line drive to center field, out of center field. That was the only home run we hit in Minnesota with our ball club and their pitching staff, which to me wasn't very good, wasn't the best I've seen. We hit 1 home run. So those things were happening there. Also, they talk about the deafening noise. Well, they were piping the noise in. That's a football stadium, so they piped the noise in also. So they had some advantages there, and there's a reason they went 72-9 or whatever. I mean, their home record that year was unbelievable.
And their 2 postseasons, they literally did not lose a game at home for the entirety of the postseason. So I will say this to say this. Thank you for going on the record. I'd heard that story for years. And you were the only one who I said, I will ask, he'll tell me, and I will buy. If Terry Pendleton tells me this is true, I'll buy in. And again, I wasn't sure of how on the record, but when you told me that, I was like, I believe it. I believe it because you don't seem to be the type, you've never struck me as the type that needs to tell a story. To tell a story, this is the story.
Well, the guy running the place retired in 2004, and he told the story. He told the story about doing it. Look at one more thing. Look at the.
By the way, he was the guy that was sitting in a room. This is a true story. He had his finger on the button.
No
like
doubt.
we talk about the button.
No doubt.
This guy was sitting in a room by himself. He was the guy that controlled the button.
No doubt whatsoever. If you guys look at the last sacrifice fly that we end up losing the ball game in '91, look at Brian Hunter in left field. He tells it all. Everybody will say, well, he lost the ball. No, he didn't lose the ball. He's standing underneath the ball, and all of a sudden he takes off running back.
A guy who played in the outfield who understands what a fly ball is supposed to do. Do you think Kirby Puckett's home run wind-aided, button-aided in Game 6?
I love Kirby like a brother. Yes, he had help.
Okay. And it was not divine intervention. It was a guy sitting in a room with his finger on the
No, it
button.
wasn't divine intervention, no.
All right.
No.
Tell me if this is fair or not. How many years have you been around professional baseball?
Oh, geez, 40 plus.
Okay. I have stated, without you within 100 miles of shouting distance, that the '91 World Series, if it said New York or Chicago or LA across the chest, it would easily be known as the greatest World Series ever. Cheating aside, of course. Cheating aside. That was the greatest World Series I think that has ever been played. But because it said Minnesota, Atlanta, the worst to first, I don't think that World Series has ever gotten the credit for being the World Series that it was. Fair statement or not?
Fair statement. Fair, 100%. I'm glad that I was playing in that 91 World Series. There's no way I could sit and watch it. No way possible. Nerves would have crushed me.
Yeah.
I'm a lot better off between the lines than watching from
And
the
you had been in
outside.
two of them already.
Yes.
Yeah. So 90, you come to the Braves in 90. This all leads up to this. Why I believe that you were the linchpin of this entire thing. The entire thing. The 91 World Series, worst to first. You might know the story, but you might not. This was not a good baseball team for a good, like 2021. I mean, it wasn't a good baseball team for a lot of the year. There is a plane ride from the West Coast. Can you set up why there was a plane ride that helped set up in motion what I think became the 90 Braves, and what your role, let's just say, with what your role in that was?
Well, I'll take you back a little bit before that. We entered the spring training of 91, and we started playing games, and we were playing like the Braves of old. And Sid Bream.
And does that bother you, by the way? You're on the Cardinals, you go to 2 World Series, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, this team is not playing very good baseball.
Well, it bothered me because I know how baseball should be played, in my own opinion. It bothered me because I knew the talent that we had in Atlanta. The reason I went to Atlanta is because I knew the talented young pitching we had, and I knew some of the talented young players we had in Atlanta. That's why I showed up in Atlanta. Well, that was one of the reasons. The other reason why my wife says if we go to the Yankees, you're going by yourself. So I ended up in Atlanta.
Still married to this day, by the way,
Yes.
so it's
Smart advice,
it all
I
played out
guess.
that way.
Yeah, so, but I knew that the Atlanta Braves had young, good talent. So I figured, John Sherhost and Bobby Cox assured me they were going to get a couple of more veteran pieces to add to that. And I felt like if we did, we'd be really good. So we get into spring training, we're starting to play games, and we're not playing very well. And I went in one morning and I asked Bobby, I said, Skipper, I said, do you mind if I have a little closed door meeting here? And he goes, no, I don't have a problem with that. I said, Skipper, listen, I need everybody out. You, coaches, trainers, everybody out. Just the players in this room. He goes, sure, take it. So we closed the doors. I explained to the Steve Averys and the Dave Justice and the Ron Gans how good they were in the minor leagues. Our Braves minor league AAA team beat up on everybody in those 89, 90. They beat up on everybody. Why shouldn't you be doing that in the big leagues? It's baseball. So I had to try to get them to understand that they're not losers like everybody's telling them they are, because they bought in. No. Sid and I said, listen, we are not going to be those Braves. Those Braves are gone. We're not going to be those Braves of the 80s. And so they kind of understood. So we played a little better in spring training. We started the season. We didn't play very well. And we go to L.A. right before the All-Star break. And our mindset is, okay, we're playing a little better. If we can just go in here and we played a 4-game series. If we can just go in here and hold our own and win 2 of them, and come out of there. I think at the time we'd have come out of there 5.5 back or something like that. We went in there and got swept. All 4 games, they whipped our tails. And so we're leaving there with our tail between our legs. And you're talking about a long flight home. That 4.5 hours are like 8 hours. I mean, when you get beat up like that, and it's the All-Star break, so there's nothing you can do about it for 3 days. You just got to go sit on it for 3 days.
And 9.5 games, I think it was 9.5
Yeah, we ended
games.
up that's right. We went in 5.5. We went in there 5.5 back, and we ended up 9.5
For a team
back.
that
We left out of there.
hasn't, for a team that hasn't won.
Right. Exactly
Now it's 9.5, and it could be insurmountable, but how are we going to ensure it's not?
So we get on the plane. Plane takes off. Everybody's having a drink or playing cards or whatever. And all of a sudden it stops. And guys start walking up and down the aisles talking about what we hadn't done, how we could get it done, how everybody else was playing their best baseball. And we haven't started playing good yet. And I'm sitting veteran. I'm sitting in the back of the plane just grinning. I'm loving this. I'm like, yes, we're finally getting an idea of how good we could possibly be. And guys started playing their card game again. They're still talking about it while the card game's going on. And they're talking about things we didn't do, things we could have done to be better in the first half, and things we hadn't even accomplished or attempted to do yet. And the plane landed, and we took our 3 days off, and we came back, and we had to start the season in Houston. I'll never forget it. Our guys walked out on that field in Houston like we were at home. I sat and watched them. I sat in the dugout and watched our young guys walk out on that field like we're about to own some people here. So we went out there. I think we beat Houston 3 straight. The Dodgers lost 3 straight. We left there and went to Cincinnati and won 3 or 4 straight. The Dodgers lost 3 or 4. They lost 3 out of 4. So within a week or so, we were a game and a half out within a week of starting the second half. And I'm enjoying this. I'm grinning. Inside, I'm just grinning because these kids are finally understanding how good they really are. So it was just interesting to watch that.
Yeah. Don't bring, what is it they say? Don't bring a rock to a gunfight. But you better understand that if you're in a gunfight, bring a gun and impose your will a little bit, even in baseball, because we don't think of this sport that way. But you better. You saw the Mets in 85 and 86. There's a swagger. There's that. Yes. We're going to thump you and figure out how the thumping actually begins.
And hate it every second of it, too. Well, it's a little different now. Nothing against the kids now. This is what they do. This is what they're used to doing, I guess. But the 85 Mets, Doc Gooden's a good friend of mine. Darryl Strawberry's a good friend of mine. There were 4 or 5 guys on that team we could have dinner another time. But while we're on that field, I'm trying to do damage to him. Seriously, he's got on the wrong uniform. That was our mental attitude. That just the way it was. My best friend could have been playing shortstop for the Mets, but when I came down there second base, he ain't my best friend no more. And we can talk about it later or right there at second, whichever you chose, because we had on the wrong uniform. That was the way it was done.
Do you get bothered when the game flipped where everybody around the cage, all of a sudden there was that, what do we call it now? Fraternization. Mm-hmm. For those who don't know, baseball used to have a rule.
Oh, yeah.
You got in trouble if you were talking to an opposing player. There was a fraternization rule. We think about it now, they're all whatever.
Yeah.
It's like a cocktail party. Everybody, hey, how you doing? Good, how are you doing? You grew up in a time, and certainly when Red Shane East and the other people who you grew up around with the Cardinals, the old guys, that was not a thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we literally had to walk under our breath to speak to each other. We literally. I mean, we're stretching, we're running to get loose or whatever. You turn around and walk away. Hey, how you doing? Everything good? Family good? Keep walking. That was it. Seriously, that's the way it was. It really was that way. It's a little different now. Just let me say that.
Well, you sound, look, the problem is you're one of those guys, and I'm of the age where I don't want to sound like an old man on the lawn.
No.
But the reality is, it is different. Mm-hmm. The reality is, I liked it a certain way as a fan. You liked it a certain way as a player, and those days are kind of gone.
Yeah, they are.
Don't want to scream about it, but those days are kind of gone.
And as I said, the players are different now. Yeah. It's a I can't say a lot of individual, but it is to a certain extent. As a player for me, I can give an example of something in the ballgame. Oh, I don't remember what year it was. Might have been 85. I'm catching a pop-up on the infield. I'm in St. Louis. Now, everybody knows Ozzie Smith is standing over there next to me. I catch a pop-up on the infield, and I decided I'm going to catch this pop-up on the infield with one hand to my left. I got it. I catch the ball. I take it, I throw it to second base to Tommy Herr. And as I'm throwing the ball to second base to Tommy Herr, Ozzie Smith is dog cussing me about how I caught the baseball. I don't know where you learn how to catch a baseball, but on this infield, we don't catch a baseball with one hand. We get underneath the ball and catch it with 2 hands. I don't know who taught you that. I mean, he is dog cussing me as the ball is coming around the infield. I throw the ball back to the pitcher. The pitcher is pitching. He is still dog cussing me. Nobody knows it. He is letting me have it. The next 2 outs, I got cussed out by Ozzie Smith for catching a ball with one hand on the infield. Now, I'm young. I don't know if I want to go to this dugout now. I mean, he's over there. He's got to do a job over there. Now he can meet me in the dugout. I'm like, I'm not sure I want to go to this dugout. I stepped foot in the dugout. It was never mentioned again.
Right.
Never mentioned again. But I got the message.
Lesson learned the way it was supposed to be taught.
I got the message. Even after I left there, I'm still catching. I see kids catch balls with one hand. I cringe like, oh, man, I'm dead serious. You guys think I'm kidding? I am serious about that. No doubt. Because there was a way that we did things in St. Louis. I remember having a batting glove on my hand playing defense. You know, guys wear gloves underneath their fielding glove, right? Tommy Hurt, who didn't say a lot, we loved him, called him T-Bird. T-Bird walks over to me in the middle of taking infield, and he says, "Hey, are you catching today?" "No, I'm not catching today." He goes, "You playing first?" "No, I'm not playing first. Playing third." He goes, "I just want to let you know, unless you're catching or playing first, we don't wear a batting glove on this infield underneath our glove unless it's 30 degrees or something out here."
Right off.
Say no more. Yeah. Say no more.
Tell me, for those who don't remember, you guys remember they called them cookie cutter stadiums. They were multi-purpose. Mm-hmm. You play baseball, you play football. I mean, there was AstroTurf. I had heard a story again growing up that I didn't know, and I went to you and you verified this as well. Explain to everybody how hot it would get in St. Louis with AstroTurf, and what you had to do as a baseball player in the, and by the way, I'd say the middle of summer, but it started a little bit before that. It went a little bit longer than the middle of summer. Explain to everybody what a baseball game was like on a turf stadium with no padding, basically playing on hot cement. I'll let you give the numbers, what the temperature was, but explain to everybody what you would have to do during games.
Well, we had ice packs for your feet. You go stick your feet in ice buckets.
Why couldn't you take your shoes off?
Because, well, you probably couldn't put them back on, feet swelling, or you'd have to send somebody up to get you another pair. It was that bad. They'd had the old cabbage in the hat, helmet thing. But listen, it got so hot out there at times where we had guys, you had the rivets, the metal spikes, and then you had the rivet and the plastic holding them up. The plastic on your spikes would melt. You'd have to send a bat boy up to get you another pair of spikes. You couldn't go up to get the spikes because if you went up, you weren't coming back down because there was air conditioning up there. So you were done. No, this is no joke. This is serious. You would not. You wouldn't come back down because there's air conditioning up there. You were done. As soon as you go up there, you are absolutely done. So we've literally probably averaged on the turf at 110 every Saturday or Sunday, but we had one Sunday evening, I think we were playing the Dodgers. No, I know we were playing the Dodgers, where it got to 148 degrees on the turf. Where literally Ozzy looked at me and goes, "I think the devil's sitting next to me over here." That's how hot it was. I mean, you look out at the third baseman and you couldn't see who it was. It was an absolute blur.
It was a mirage. It was so hot, it was like the mirage coming
off. It was crazy. It got that hot. So we played, I'll never forget that because we played 6 games in 4 days. We got rained out earlier against the Dodgers. So we played a Thursday night game, Friday doubleheader, Saturday doubleheader, Sunday day game. And you talking about hot. And the bad part about that, Whitey Herzog walked in and said, "Hey, first meeting on Thursday, there's 2 of you guys are going to play all 6 games, so get ready for it." He said, "Rambo," he called Jack Clark Rambo. "Rambo, you and Pindy, you're the other one." I was like, oh, man. So Jack and I got 6 of them. Everybody else got a game off.
Explain the cabbage in the helmet thing, cabbage in the hat thing.
Well, they said it cooled down your head. Put the cabbage in ice bucket, put on your head, helped you stay cool. I'm playing third base, which the dirt is there. Between pitches, I am moving into the dirt because my feet are on fire. So I can't imagine being the center fielder out there on the turf. I'm literally pitch to pitch, moving back and forth, to the dirt, back to my position, to the dirt, back to my position. But the cabbage was supposed to keep your head and everything a little cooler. Ice towel around you, feet in the bucket. There were a couple of days I can honestly tell you, it didn't matter what you had, it wasn't going to help you.
Explain what turf, now you got knee stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think about 1985, 86, 87 playing on that turf and the damage that it probably did to lower extremities?
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
The damage it did to your lower back and your knees, your joints, your ankle joints, all of it, it took its toll. I can't imagine being a football player because the cookie cutter, there were 5 or 6 of them that football and baseball shared.
Yeah.
It really took its toll. And 2.5 years after playing on it, I'm still 27 years old at the time, and I woke up one morning and I could have swore my wife kicked me in my lower back all night long, but it wasn't. It was literally from the turf, 2.5 years of playing on it. So It took its toll. You can go out and walk on turf now and take you a couple of laps. You can walk every day. You can walk on turf, take you a couple of laps on turf, and come in. I guarantee you, you will feel the effects of your lower back.
So think about 1985, 86, 87 turf, basically this thick on cement. You played on cement.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I want to ask you about 2 incidents. And again, you can either register or not. You had a moment where you were not happy with a pitcher on your own team. Fair game to talk about?
Yeah, I guess we can talk about it. And the only reason why I'm hesitant is because after Bobby Cox and I had a discussion about this, we both said that
Never to be spoken of again?
Wait. We wouldn't speak in the press about this, so we did not.
Okay.
Neither one of us did. But we can speak on it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I want you. Let's just say that there's an old school.
Okay.
There's an old school element to baseball.
Okay.
And there's an old school element of get one of mine, I get one of yours. I'll
Right.
start it that way. You take the story.
Okay, so we're playing in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati at that time wanted to be known as the Bad Boys or whatever they call themselves. We didn't play
Nasty,
that.
right?
The
Wasn't
Nasty,
the Nasty
Boys. There you
Boys.
go. Well,
Yeah.
Same difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
didn't see him that way. So Tim Belcher's pitching. He's pitching a pretty good ball game. They got a few runs off of Greg Maddux. And Belcher's throwing a no-hitter through 3 innings or something like that. So Dion comes up and he starts off the 4th inning, and he almost decapitates Belcher with a line drive right up the middle for a base hit. So the game goes on. We're down probably 5-1 or something at that time. And Dion comes up with 1 out in the 6th inning maybe. And first pitch, Tim Belcher hits him right in the middle of his back with the first pitch. Now he's dealing. Now all of a sudden one gets away? No. So I'm sitting here, Greg Maddux is sitting here, and Bobby Cox is sitting next to Greg. And I look over, we call him Doggy. I look over Doggy, and he looks at me and goes, TP, don't worry about it, I got it. Okay. So at that time, Bobby says, no, Doggy, you're out of the game. Because we were down 5-6 to 1, the 6th. So we're bringing in somebody out of the pen. So Dion's on, Jeff Blauser makes an out, I come up, and this probably is twice in my entire career I could tell you I gave away an at-bat because I was so irritated over what had gone on. And I ended up making the last out of the inning, and I handed my helmet, and I wore a child protector shin guard, a soccer shin guard, because I had fractured my wrist twice, and doctors told me if it happens again, you're done. So I had to wear something to protect that. So I hand the helmet and the shin guard to Pat Corrales, who was our first base coach at the time. And I told Pat, I said, Pat, Tim Belcher is leading off. Their pitcher is leading off this next inning. And I said, as God is my witness, if he doesn't get hit on the first pitch, you guys are going to have to find another third baseman. And Pat looks at me and goes, I hear you, but if they ask me, I'm going to say you didn't say nothing to me. And he jogs off the field. So we come off to start the inning. Marvin Freeman comes in out of the bullpen, and Marvin throws the first pitch slider low and away. I walk off. I'm done. So I walk off the field, and Bobby's looking at me like, what in the world's going on? And then he realized what was going on. And needless to say, the Cincinnati clubhouse was a little walk. You had to walk down a tunnel, and then you had to go some stairs, and then into the clubhouse. And I heard some few choice words from Bobby all the way to that clubhouse, the entire way, which he had the right to. It was his ball club, and he had the right to. But I wanted my teammates to understand where I was coming from and what I believed in and what we should believe in. And so there was a difference in that. Bobby and I squashed that. Neither one of us ever spoke to the press about that after it happened. All my teammates came up. Now, mind you, I'm still burning up. I'm out of the game. I'm on the stationary bike, and I am riding like I'm in the Tour de France because I am so irritated and on fire. And they're all coming up, and every one of them, I got it. All the pitchers came and said, I got it. We understand it 100%. Now, mind you, Marvin Freeman, the pitcher that threw the slider low and away, he comes in. Marvin's a prankster. You got to know Marvin. You love him, but there are times where you want to kill him, but you love him. Marvin comes in and says, man, I thought you left because you thought my stuff was so good I didn't need a third baseman. Marvin Freeman, typical Marvin Freeman. So, but my teammates understood.
So what do you think, you haven't talked about it a lot, but what do you think that does when you talk about, again, setting a mindset? 100%. Get one of mine, I get one of yours, because that's the way the game has to be played.
Well, there's no doubt about that. It has to be done that way. Now, mind you, I got fined for that. It's 5 figures.
Got to tell your wife about that too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little less than the check.
But she understood.
Good.
She understood 100%. But situation, we had a situation where Otis Nixon got hit in Philadelphia. Roger McDowell hit him. Of course, we had a fight the week before with Philly at our place because a pitcher hit Otis. Otis charged the mound, broke the pitcher's ribs. So the next week, we're in Philly. Otis pinch hits. Roger McDowell hits him with the first pitch. Tom Glavine's pitching. I love Tom to death. To this day, I love Tommy to death. Dale Murphy's leading off the inning for Philly. Tom Glavine doesn't go after Dale Murphy like we feel he should go after Dale Murphy. He gets tossed out of the game after lobbing 3 balls up there. He finally gets tossed out of the game. Now, we're a team. Otis is in center field, not real happy with Tom Glavine. And I could hear him expressing how unhappy he was with Tom Glavine. So the final out is made, and Otis is from center field. He's sprinting. I know exactly where he's going. So I got to catch him before he gets to Glavine, before there's a confrontation. So we get them separated to where they didn't get after each other, but we separate them. Okay, now you can go in and talk. Okay? So one of my teammates come in and ask me the question because he's trying to defend Tommy. He goes, let me ask you a question. He knows Willie McGee is one of my favorite all-time people and one of my favorite teammates. He goes, TP, if you're pitching and that's Willie McGee, what would you have done? I said, Willie knows it, and I know it. I would have smoked him with the first pitch.
Yeah.
And I said, when Willie walked up there, he knows it's coming. Get ready for it. Now, if he wants to charge him out, that's another story. We take that up. We got on different unis, and we can go out and have dinner later on, whichever you. Boys will be boys. You probably grew up fighting with your best friend, and it was over. You move on. But that was a situation. We have to understand that we're in this battle together with this uniform on. So my teammates understood that. That was very important. That's how we became the team we became, because we held each other accountable for whatever it was, whether it's moving the runner, sacrificing, getting a guy in from third with less than 2 outs. We held each other accountable for those things.
Let me go to a moment that everybody remembers. Sid Slid, Francisco Cabrera, Sid Bream. I don't know this. What's your vantage point for that play? Physically, what do you remember seeing? And look, the fish gets bigger over years. And, he was either out by 3 feet, he was safe by 1.5 feet. But I don't know. What was your vantage point on that play?
I was in the dugout. I had scored. I thought he barely beat the throw home.
Okay.
I walked in the dugout to start that inning, and I said, hey, we got 3 outs left. Let's go. I knew we were going to win that game. The entire game, I knew
So
we were going to win that
why
game.
do you know that? Like, it's one thing that why did you know it, not think it?
In baseball, it's like knowing Game 7 of '85 that it ain't gonna come, it ain't gonna turn out the way we like for it. There's just a feeling you have about certain things. For me, in a game, and that feeling, I knew we were gonna win that game. I don't know why I felt the way I felt, but I knew we were gonna win that baseball game.
There's a crazy moment in that inning for Pittsburgh. Tell everybody how good their second baseman was, and what happened to keep that inning alive.
I lead off the inning with a double. Dave Justice follows me, and he hits a ground ball to second base. And Chico Lean boots the ball, who had 3 errors all year long and played in 160 games. That's how good of a second baseman he was. And that even solidified my thought on winning that game even more when I saw that. No doubt. No doubt about it. But he makes the error to allow the tying run on base in Dave Justice.
Where do you end up in the dog pile?
I didn't get in that dog pile.
You didn't?
I was smarter than that. No.
Veteran.
Yes.
Veteran move.
When that ball was hit, I watched the play. As soon as he called him safe, I ran to second base to Francisco Cabrera. That's where I went. I didn't even get involved in all that. I went straight to the guy that hit the baseball.
How incredible is it that you can be a Hall of Fame player, you can be a great player, you can be a guy who was a really, really good player, but in baseball it's different than every other sport. And there are guys who don't necessarily have the back of the baseball card of other guys, but they're involved in some of the greatest moments. Francisco Cabrera, involved in one of the greatest moments that the game had seen, and you don't have to be that guy with the card.
Right.
Because the game is built for, Mark Lemke in 1991, the game is built for people to rise to an occasion more than every other sport combined.
There's no doubt about that. And the game has changed a little bit to where that's hard to do now.
Right.
And that takes away from some of it. But you're absolutely right. Bobby Cox put Francisco Cabrera in the perfect situation for Francisco Cabrera. Fastball hitter against a fastball slider pitcher. And the slider wasn't working, so we knew he had one pitch that night, and that was that fastball. And Francisco Cabrera could hit a fastball in his sleep.
Tell everybody how fast Sid Bream isn't.
Well, he was fast enough. He wasn't the fastest man on our squad, let me say that to you. But Sid, honestly, before Sid had 3 or 4 knee surgeries, Big Sid could run a little bit. Sid stole 20 bases in the minor leagues. He could run a little bit before he had all the knee surgeries. But the thing with Sid is most people don't understand, a lot of times you can have speed on the bases, but if you know how to run the bases,
That's right.
It makes you better. Sid knew how to run the bases.
Who was playing left field for the Pirates?
Barry Bonds.
Yeah, he was. Explain to everybody, do you know the story? I'm assuming you do, that Barry Bonds almost became an Atlanta Brave?
Oh, yes. I know that story. I think it was going into the 92 season.
Yeah, it was after that year. And going into 92, because 92 was the Sid slid. He could have been a member of the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah. We're in spring training. I'll never forget this. We're in spring training, and John Sherhouse and Bobby Cox were having a conversation, and I appreciated John and Bobby opening the door for me to listen, to learn. They asked my opinion about things. But John came to me and says, listen, we got a chance of getting Barry Bonds. I'm like, what are we waiting for? He goes, well, I'm a little concerned about how he's going to act and how he's going to be in the clubhouse. I said, John, let me worry about that. Let me worry about that. Get him. If you can get him, get him. I will take care of that. Just get him, please. So I'm fired up. I can't say anything. I'm going back out on the field, and I'm fired up. I can't say anything about it. And then John comes back later and says, well, Jimmy Leland had a fit, and then Ted Simmons, I think, was the general manager time. Ted decided not to pull the trigger. I'm like, oh, man, can you imagine Barry Bonds in our uniform?
And the right clubhouse to maybe avoid the Barry Bonds stories that everybody eventually hears, because maybe he would have actually bought in and understood what was going on in this clubhouse.
Well, it's funny. Barry don't have many friends. Barry and I are friends. I text him on purpose because he doesn't like it. Barry is a call me, FaceTime me guy. I'll text him on purpose because I know he doesn't like it. And he'll call me and go, what are you doing?
So why do you like him? Why are you friends with him when the world says, you just said he doesn't have a lot of friends. No. How difficult is it to be his friend?
It's not difficult for me.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why it's not difficult. Because he respects me. He respects me. From day one, he has shown me nothing but respect. Bobby Bonilla brought him to me in '86 when he first came up. Said, here, I want to introduce you to somebody. This man is real. Barry has respected me from that moment on. Barry has come to my house in St. Louis for lunch.
So the Bonilla thing, I'm Italian. You became sort of a made man. You were told, this guy's right. Good.
Yes.
This guy you can, okay. Chipper Jones you play a big part in Chipper Jones' story. And again, I don't think a lot of people know this. Chipper Jones is supposed to be a starter for the Atlanta Braves. He tears up his knee in spring training. So now you got the #1 overall draft pick, who is not going to be feeling good about himself because he's not playing in the big leagues. He's going to have to go through a rehab. He's never watched a baseball game in his life because he's only played baseball games. I don't know who knows this story. I only know it because I've had conversations with both of you, but more from Chipper. This goes back to Terry not telling Terry stories unless you ask him. What did the Atlanta Braves do with Chipper Jones, and what's your role with Chipper Jones as he's rehabbing? Or let me go before that. What happened the night of his injury?
He told you that? Okay, well, we're in Fort Lauderdale. At the time, the Yankees were in spring training in Fort Lauderdale. Chipper hits a ball, and he's going to dodge the tag at first base and tears up his knee. So we're in the middle of the game. They take him out. They take him into the training room. We have an inning or so, and I go in to check on him after the inning. And I go into the training room, and Chipper is laying on the training room bawling like a 2-year-old. I mean, he is. And his mom, his dad, and his wife at the time are standing outside the door. They're walking up as I go in. And Chipper's dad I said, yeah, he's in there. Hold on a minute. I'm going to check on him. So I went in, and he's bawling like a 2-year-old. I mean, he is just. And I said, Chip, listen. I said, kid, you're 22 years old, 23 years old. He was young.
22.
I said, listen. I said, you'll come back from this. You'll work your rear end off, and you'll come back from this, and we will laugh about this later on. But I said, in the meantime, your mom and dad and your wife are standing outside this door, and the look on your face is going to tell for them as to how they should worry or not worry or whatever the case may be. So you're going to have to straighten up a little bit here. I said, I got you, TP. I will. Give me a second. Don't let him in. Give me a second. And, I mean, he pulled himself together. He did. He pulled himself together. And I said, listen, you'll bounce back from this. We'll have a good time. We'll laugh about this. And he did. He did. He pulled himself together very well. And I guess we can say the rest is history. But they put Chipper's locker. After he started rehabbing, they put his locker right next to mine. Now, mind you, this is the #1 pick in the nation. We all know how good this kid is or is going to be. They put his locker next to mine. Jeff Blauser's locker over there, and Jeff and I used to laugh at each other every day because we'd laugh and joke and say, hey, you know he's going to take one of our job here soon. I mean, it's a part of life, you know. You work your rear end off as best you can, but you know this kid is coming because you know how good he can be. But I got him every day. I grabbed him every single day. Hey, kid, let's go to work, man. Come on, let's go.
Tell everybody about rehab. What can happen to you? There's that moment you get a minute. You get to cry in the training room, get it together. But rehab stinks. It's lonely, and it's not only woe is me, it's my career is flashed before my eyes because you don't know what's going to be better at that point.
No, you don't. And there are days where everything feels great, and then you have a setback of 2 or 3 days, and you're wondering what I did wrong, what I didn't do right, why is my body acting this way? I went through all of it with the rehab in the knee. And you do. You question yourself about all that. Am I ever going to be the player I thought I could be? All those things run through your mind. And he had some setbacks where he didn't feel good. His knee was sore. This was happening. But the bottom line with him was getting out working and getting himself. Because when they turned him loose, they knew he was ready because they weren't going to turn him loose until they knew he was ready to play.
Tell everybody what it's like to go to the backfields. Like you're doing things by yourself.
Yeah. It's a lonely. Rehab can be lonely, as Chris said. It can be very lonely. You got to go back there. You've got no way to judge where you're at, but from the coach working with you or yourself. You know, you come in from work and everybody's going out to play. You're sitting there, nothing to do. A lot of us, we love the game of baseball when we're playing it at a young age. We don't want to sit around and watch everybody else do well and we can't do anything. It's not enjoyable. I can tell you that from my standpoint. I've had to experience it. And it's not that you have anything against everybody else doing it. You just want to be a part of it, and you can't be. So it makes it even tougher to do. But Chipper had to work through those things. You know, when he got hurt, he was going to be our left fielder. He's literally going to be our left fielder. Ronnie Gannett blew up his in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
And he was going to be our left fielder at the time, and then he tore his knee up. So now am I going to be a third baseman, a shortstop, a left fielder? Well, so all these things went through his mind as he's trying to rehab just to get back on the field.
But you're conscious of why they put him next to you, though, right?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Because that's part of what I meant by when you get to this organization, there's tentacles.
Yeah.
You know, there's stuff that the public sees, there's stuff that the public doesn't see, but he was supposed to be next to you for the reason of you'll kick him in the ass when he needed it, you'll pat him on the back when he needed it. You understood what he is going to need to become a player.
Absolutely right. And he went through it. He went through it. Everything I asked him to do, he did. There were times where he didn't want to do things. I came off the field from he tells a story all the time, and I laugh, but it's real. I played with neck and back killing me. And I came off the field one night, game over, and I sat down, and I couldn't untie my shoes. I couldn't do it. And I looked at him, I said, kid, would you take my shoes off for me? And he looked over at me like, are you serious? You just played 9 out there, are you serious? And he realized I was serious.
Yeah.
And without hesitation, without hesitation. Help take my shoes off, put them aside so the kids could clean them up and ready to go. He understood. He understood. And like Chris will tell you, he'll tell you to this day, he understood. He understood why I was there. He understood why I was there as a coach when I became the hitting coach. He understood exactly why I was there. No doubt about it.
All right, let's finish up with this. This doesn't sound good. It's not good. It doesn't sound good and it's not good. But to be in multiple World Series and to not win. No, I'm telling you, because you can look at it one of two ways. I had the opportunities. There are great players who never had an opportunity. They didn't get more than one opportunity. I'm asking, when you think about it now, and it sounds harsh, what are your thoughts about not necessarily being in that club when you were a good enough player to be in that club? You did the right thing every day of your career, but it just sometimes doesn't happen for certain teams and certain guys. This many years removed from playing, I've never asked you this. What does that do for you emotionally?
I can honestly say I enjoyed every minute of getting the opportunity to play in those. I played in 5 World Series, 0 for 5, just so everybody knows. Great opportunity, great experience. I loved it. People play 20 years and never get that opportunity. I get it. I understand it. I respect it. I can honestly sit here and tell you that when the team won in '95, I was a Marlin. I wasn't a Brave. And I was fired up for my teammates, my ex-teammates, but boy, did I hurt inside.
Yeah.
Oh, did I hurt inside. And not show it too. Oh, my goodness. But I was fired up for them because I knew the battle they went through to get where they got and to win what they won. But I will say, you think back at different times where, man, we should have had that one, or this should have happened. There's nothing I can change. But I enjoyed every minute of the experience of getting the opportunity to do so. Again, there are a lot of people that never got that opportunity. And the one thing that I loved about the World Series is that us and that team over there, everybody else is at home. I mean, I could say I had 5 opportunities of everybody else being at home, having to sit and watch us.
We're done. But I just want to say one more time, one of the best guys I've ever been around, ever. 30-plus years, and there's been a lot of people. Quiet, soft-spoken. You're on my top 4 list of guys that I would not want to get into a fight with. I've said this before. Listen, I would have got my ass kicked by a lot of guys, but if you asked me who would you rather fight, I think there would be about 4,822 guys. Terry Pendleton would be one of those. I just go, but you, Walt Weiss, just not these guys. And to be that soft-spoken, but to carry the stick without having to tell people you carried the stick, I very much respect that.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Chris.
Thank you very much. Terry Pendleton. Can we, if there are questions, Terry, you good for a couple?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you have a question, we'll raise your hand, please. We'd like to just, whatever it might be, if there's anybody who would like to just sort of, listen, the man's an open book at this point. Ed Kennedy.
So, Terry, you coached, and you were there with Snit, old school guy. The talk you had earlier in the conversation about setting the tone, people all just being one team. Where does that come from? Because you think it comes from the top. And so I'm wondering if things have changed. It was kind of an old school guy. How did that get away, or is it just society?
Well, it's players. Snit allows his clubhouse to manage themselves. So in 21, when they won everything, Freddie Freeman, who's an old school guy, whether you believe it or not, Freddie Freeman is an old school guy. Freddie Freeman ran that clubhouse. Those guys understood. They understood where Snit was coming from. Snit's door was always open. Snit was going to give you the honest truth about what he thought and where he thought you should be and how things should go. But he allowed his players to form that and go with that. And that's what made him so good also. He understood his players.
How few rules, if things are going well, does a manager actually have? How few rules?
Probably 2 or 3, honestly.
And can I take a guess?
Yes.
Respect the uniform, be on time, respect the uniform.
Yeah. Yes, that's pretty much. Not the front, not the back.
That's right.
Snit will tell you that in a heartbeat. Hey, the front, not the back.
You might not remember this. There were rules about being seen in the clubhouse at a certain time of the day. Somebody came out, let's just say it was less than a tank top. I want you to just think, there's a tank top, and then there's less than a tank top. It's the Gold's Gym spaghetti strap. Do you remember? I was sitting with Glenn Hubbard, and somebody came out, was in the dugout, and it was a little too close to game time. And they were wearing basically...
No, I don't remember.
And Glenn Hubbard said, watch this to me. Watch this. And you were the one who walked over and said, off the bench, that is not, but the respect the uniform part of it was,
Yes.
you don't sit out here with that. This is uniform time.
Right. Well, there was a certain hour that uniform had to be put in play. There was a certain hour, whether it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5, wherever it was. Yeah, uniform had to be put in play. Were we at home or in Arizona?
No, you were at home.
Okay.
Yeah, and Glenn Hubbard looked at me.
Arizona now, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Glenn Hubbard looked at me, it happened twice. He said, watch this. And I watched Terry walk over, and there was nothing animated about it. I watched that player get out of that dugout the way he was supposed to get out of that dugout. That, to me, is being in control without having to have a hammer in your hand. One other one. You guys remember Chris Johnson?
Oh, jeez.
Okay. There was a moment that you and Chris Johnson, and I remember seeing this, and what I said about Terry Pendleton being one of the toughest guys, like I would not fight Terry Pendleton. I've always kind of thought, not him. Chris Johnson had a moment. I'm assuming you...
Can I explain that a little bit better? Chris Johnson, if you know Chris Johnson, before he puts the uniform on, he's the greatest kid on earth. I love him to this day. And I feel bad that the incident happened, to be totally honest with you. But Chris Johnson had this temper where he acted like a little 10-year-old that didn't get his way. He'd throw his helmet, he'd throw his bat. He'd just throw a temper tantrum where he wanted to throw stuff and, cuss everybody out and the whole deal. And I was the one who stayed after him about it. Come on, we got to do better than this. Come on, we can get this together. This is not the time. I see it coming. I'd pull him away. Hey. Let's go regroup. Let's get this thing together. And I'd been after him the whole year about this thing. So we have a play at the end of the game where he tries to get infield hit. He dives at first. He's out. The game's over. That had nothing to do. People thought I was mad at him because he slid at first. Had nothing to do with what went on in the dugout. Chris came in and threw his helmet, and his helmet ricocheted off the wall and squared my shin up. And nobody saw that, but my shin felt it. And as my wife says, please don't let the South Central come out of you. The South Central came out of me at the wrong time, too. And the camera's right there, and I had no idea. I kind of lost a little bit. So that incident happened. I go upstairs and apologize to the entire ball club. Chris did not want to talk to me. He's mad at the world. The next morning we come in. I asked Freddie Freddie Gonzalez was our manager. I asked Freddie if we could go to his office. I asked Chris if he would come and sit in the office with me so we could talk about what happened the night before. He comes in, he sits down. I says, Chris, he goes, no. He goes, I want to apologize to you. I'll apologize to the ball club. I want to apologize to you. What you did was 100% correct. He says, I needed that. He said, you have been with me all year long trying to get me to understand how to be a professional, and I acted like that. And I deserve that. We sat in there, tears in our eyes, apologizing. But he understood. I love the kid to this day. He's had some inside things he's had to deal with.
Yeah.
Great kid, but unfortunately, this was something that happened.
Yeah. But again, it's the next day that you realize how baseball can work, what grown men are supposed to do.
Yeah, I had a general manager walk in that same morning and go, hey, I'm surprised it took you this long.
Real quick, yeah.
TP, simpler question. Pitcher you hated to go against the most and pitcher you loved going against the most?
Oh, man. Wow. Doc Gooden, right? It's like he's throwing golf balls at you. Baseball got that small. Pitcher I liked. Oh man. No.
Man did win an MVP.
I wish I could say that. The Giants had a left-handed pitcher. Huckle. Oh, geez, what's his name? Brian. Is it Hickerson? Brian or Brad Hickerson, left-handed pitcher. I didn't know this, but the last time I faced him, I was 11 for 13 against him.
Well done.
I didn't know that.
Well done. That's when you run to the batter's box. You sprint. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, a Dimino style question. Greg Maddux went to the Hall of Fame, and he's a Brave or is he a Cub? And he went with I don't know what the hat is. And there's a Veterans Committee, a blank hat, and you never know what happens. And as Chris said a few seconds ago, you can plead the fifth, you don't have to answer. Would you go? Because I'm 51, so I was a kid when you brought us and turned us around. Are you a Brave in the Hall of Fame or a Cardinal in the Hall of Fame, or you don't have to answer and take the fifth?
Great question.
Say Braves for right now.
I get in trouble in Atlanta for saying something, giving the Cardinals credit for something. So I would probably say with the ball clubs we had in St. Louis, I am well known. But if I had to look at baseball in general, they would probably look at Atlanta, so I'd probably say Atlanta.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be my answer. Fair?
Yeah.
I mean, I won an MVP with
That's
Atlanta
right.
in Atlanta
And again,
uniform.
I'm going to say that there might have been groundwork laid in St. Louis. You absolutely were a cornerstone of what happened in Atlanta. Yeah, that's the pillar community where there's only a handful of guys who are actually pillars. Yeah. We got to wrap. We got to go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Terry Pendleton.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.